Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Whether it's hot yoga, over 100-degree weather, or too much sun. Gatorlyte, with a specialized blend of 5 electrolytes, was scientifically designed to help move fluids into the body faster for rapid rehydration. Shop now at retailers nationwide. Gatorlyte hydrates faster than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday, episode 648 of Coach Unplugged. Before we do part 2 with Jason, I would like to give a big shout out to Dr. Dish. You're going to learn more with the Dr. Dish machine. The videos, the integration, they are everywhere. They are giving free information. But the skill development you can get with a Dr. Dish is second to none. Mention Coach Unplugged, which is really helpful for us. Next time you call, they'll give you $350 off your next purchase. So we really do appreciate that. That helps us keep the lights on here at teachhoops.com. And another way you can help us keep the lights on is teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. A lot of great resources, a lot of noise out there. Let me help you with the roadmap. Let me help you, kind of sift through all that noise, and let me help you mentor you and become a better basketball coach. teachhoops.com, and our community and our membership is a place that you need to be. So go over and check that out, and let's head off to the podcast.
So let's just jump in and talk about your playing career and kind of how that developed and related to, in the U.S. and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I guess we touched a little bit on the Irish system already. And, so when I was young, I would have played with my school team, a club team, a regional team. And then I was lucky enough I captained the Irish under-16 national team. We played the European Championships.
And so where do you play? Where do you play? Where did those championships happen?
They were in Slovakia.
And who plays in that? Everybody from where?
Europe. It's the European Championships. There's different tiers. This would be Tier B. Tier A would be, your Spain, France, Germany, Lithuania, Greece, Italy. So this was Tier B. Played really well. Did a good job. And from that, I got some offers to go to high school in America.
Okay.
There was a number of schools asked me to come over, all over the eastern seaboard, really.
Right.
As you know yourself, different situations, different, scholarships. And so I finally settled on Notre Dame Academy, which was just outside DC in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
So that was a prep school. Really interesting. I went there when I was 16. So I left home when I was 16 to head over. Lived with a host family. Actually lived with my assistant coach at the time, Mike Teasley. His sister, Nikki Teasley, was with North Carolina at the time.
Okay.
UNC, and she went on to be drafted. And she won a championship with the LA Sparks after that. So it was pretty cool. The school was really good. We were in the Beltway Conference, so we would have played against, Kevin Durant was in there. Rudy Gay. There was a ton of different guys in that conference. We were ranked number 1 in the Beltway for a number of weeks in a row. We ranked in the top 10 in America for prep schools. So it was a real eye opener going from Ireland when you're the tallest guy next to the basket to all of a sudden, there's guys bigger than you, more athletic, and just another step ahead, which was pretty cool.
And do you think that was important for your development?
Absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a case of a big fish in a small pond when I was here. And then it's the unknown, and then to just be thrown into the middle of it was pretty cool. Like, I remember one story, I had just arrived in January 2002, I was supposed to go in September 2001, but then 9/11 happened, so all the visas and stuff got pushed back. So that would have been, after the midpoint of the season, as you know. So we're traveling down, going to a game. Now, at this time, I wasn't on the internet. We didn't have access to the same access that we have these days. It's very easy to look up a player or look up schools. And
Right.
So we were heading down to play Oak Hill Academy. I had absolutely no idea what Oak Hill Academy was or who they were, but I remember ringing my dad when we got back up. We got back up to the house after the game. I think we lost by, it might have been 10 points. Got back up, I rang my dad, and I was thinking, I gotta get the hell out of here. we just played against this kid named Carmelo Anthony, and he absolutely killed us, but I had no idea at the time.
Right.
The path that
And Oak Hill,
was-
for people that don't know, Oak Hill's in the middle of like the foothills of it's like in the middle of nowhere.
And they have that wall when you go in, and all the college jerseys are up on the wall from their former players where they signed, and it's really cool experience.
DC, interesting choice to go suburban DC, because DC's an interesting town. It's not like going to Chicago or Boston, or it's interesting. I mean, it's got definitely different. There's places in DC you don't want to go, and there's places in DC you do want to go.
Absolutely. And then from an outside perspective, looking from Ireland to America, it's New York and DC and LA are the kind of places that you hear of, So now it was a good 40 minutes outside DC, but in American terms, that's not very far at all.
No.
But
that's a suburb.
That was a pretty cool experience. So spent 2.5 years there. It got to the point where it's almost a factory. Just the level of players that were coming was incredible. We had 30, 40 college coaches at every practice when it was open recruiting season.
Right.
Just to be thrown from, trying to find a hole in Ireland to get some shots up, and to try and find somebody to go and rebound for you, to all of a sudden being in that kind of setting, it was a real eye opener.
Right. And so did you stay for college?
Yeah. So I got injured my senior year in preseason, playing against Spalding Academy and Rudy Gay. It wasn't him now, but we just clashed knees, and I did a lot of damage to my knee. It took almost a year to get back right again. But still, I had 11 or 12 scholarship offers, which is pretty good, obviously. Went to Winthrop Academy in South Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina. Virginia is funny in the sense that it kind of straddles the line between northern culture in America and the southern culture. So
it's more south. Anybody that lives in the north or in the Midwest would say Virginia's south, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
But northern Virginia up around DC is a little different from southern Virginia. So.
It is. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're definitely different. It's like yeah.
So I made the decision. Look, Winthrop is obviously a great school. I was there for 3 years. We went to the tournament 3 times in a row. My last year there, we beat Notre Dame in the first round. Greg Marshall was the coach at Winthrop at that time. So and he went to Wichita State after that.
Right.
And has obviously done an incredible job since he went there. But that would have started long before Winthrop. Just the level of competitiveness and the level of detail in them practices was it was a real eye opener. It was something that I definitely kept with me going forward into my own coaching career. I think with coaches, there's certain stuff you pick up, and there's certain stuff that you say, that's not who I want to be as a coach. And for me, they're both as valuable as each other.
Right. I agree. I mean, I've said this a million times. That's why you got to find a lot of mentors, because you take a little bit, I like that, but I don't like that kind of thing. I think that's really important. I agree.
And it's realizing not to just toss the stuff away that you don't like, but try and understand it. And that's not what you like, then, it makes it excels your coaching career, I think.
I think it does too. So then you stayed in the States to go to college?
Yeah, went 3 years at Winthrop and transferred from Winthrop to Augusta State in South Carolina. Not South Carolina, in Georgia, sorry. Went from South Carolina to Georgia. So stayed in the heat. Man, them summers were brutal.
I'm telling you, like northern Wisconsin, Wisconsin gets really cold in the winter, but it's like it's the opposite down in the south. Like the summers it's like the surface of the sun.
Explain it to people that haven't seen it. It's like opening the oven, and you just feel that heat coming out of the oven.
It's the humidity. It's the humidity. Yeah, it's horrible.
So in preseason in Augusta, we used to have to get up for running, for conditioning in the morning, as you do. But we used to do it at like 11, 12, and we had to change it to 5:36 in the morning because the big Irish guy almost died a couple of times trying to run around the field in that heat. So
right.
my teammates weren't too excited about having to get up at 5:30 for me.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
then
Augusta was cool. We went to the tournament again 2 years in a row. So I have 5 championship rings from college in America. Redshirted 1 year at Winthrop. First year at Augusta, we made it to the final, NCAA final, lost in the final, and then we made it to the Final Four the next year. So it was 5 years in college for 2 different head coaches, but both extremely successful programs.
and were you coming back in the summers to Ireland?
Yeah, I was going back. It just depended on the time. You know, if I did summer class, obviously I would get back to Ireland for 3 or 4 weeks, and if I wasn't doing summer class, I'd get back for.
And was there any national team stuff? Was there any national team stuff at that point?
Yes, so it would have been the year I left Winthrop, 2007-8, and I went to Augusta. So that summer I came back and started playing with the national team. My second year on the national team, Jay Larranaga, who's the assistant coach now with the Boston Celtics, he was actually a player coach for the Irish national team, which was pretty cool. So you know, all of a sudden, like I was the only guy there that was in college at the time. Everybody else was pros. And most of them, there was more American accents on the bus than there was Irish accents, you know. So a lot of guys with Irish passports at the time. But it was pretty cool just to be around that level of professionalism. Like Jay is fantastic. Jay's a great coach. And it was a really interesting experience for me. You're in college, you know, you mess up, you get on the line and you run, you know, and, you know, that's standard enough. But now you're experiencing a really great players. Jay Larranaga had a great career in Italy and Spain and France and Europe in general. He'd be a very well-known name. But the fact that he was a player coach, you know, we mess up in a drill and he's like, all right, get on the line and run. And he's standing next to you running as well, you know. So that was a neat experience.
All right. So then what happened after that?
Yeah, so graduated.
First of all, was your knee 100% healthy at that point?
Yeah, it's back now. It really bothered me my freshman year at college. There's a lot of Irish kids now. We're starting to head over to prep school and head over to college. You know, I talk to a lot of them, and when they ask for advice, biggest advice is just if you're making that step from high school to college, is just to get in the good a shape as you possibly can. You know, as you know, the practices in college 2.5, 3 hours long. You know, the first 60-70% of it is conditioning, and it's drills and it's running. And you know, if you can get past that point, and if you're in good shape, it's the next 30% where you get to shine a little bit and play the game, and the coach sees how you operate after being so tired. You know, so not knowing going into freshman year, not knowing the level. And it's tough until you experience it yourself. Not knowing the level of conditioning that you need was tough. And then having the knee injury on top of that, it really made that freshman year. You know, the knee would just blow up and swell. You just start to get into a rhythm, start to play well, start to do well in practice. And then it just blows up again. You know? So it is one of them things that stayed with me for a couple of years. But to answer your question, like it hasn't bothered me in a long time now.
So then how do you hire an agent? How does that work? After
so again, there's so many tools, you know, like you have agencies where you go and you sign, and then you have, you know, the way it works now is there's just tons of guys on social media platforms offering to be your agent and it's a bit of a minefield, you know, because you have to really know somebody that you trust, and you have to know somebody that's looking out for your best interest. And, you know, I feel like the thing in the back of your head always is if they're representing 2 guys in the same position, like which one of their guys are they selling to the team, you know? So it's tough. I was lucky enough. I started working with an agent, but he would have played in Limerick professionally for a couple of years. So there was a couple of guys in Limerick that would have known him. Yeah, he became a good contact and got me that first gig.
So unlike the States, you just have an agent. That's it, just an agent, nothing else, right? No other people you have to put on your payroll.
Oh, you don't even put the agent on your payroll. The teams pay the agent. So once you go to a team, the team pays your salary plus it pays the agent fee as well.
So he doesn't take a cut off the top of you. He gets paid by the team.
Well, I'm sure you pay by the team. Now, I'm sure that cut is coming. You know, it might come from the team, but it's coming from the same pocket. You know, but yeah, you don't essentially pay the agent out of your salary.
So they want you to get paid more, though. They get a percentage, probably.
Exactly. So the more you get paid, the bigger percentage they get. But there's other, like, so my first couple of contracts, you'd have you'd have your apartment in there, you'd have your food in there, you'd have a car in there, you'd have medical. There's all different things that you have to check off the box as you're going. And I think the biggest difference between college and playing professionally is just the downtime. It's huge in comparison. You're in such a routine of you're getting up and you're going to class and you're running from there to condition to individuals or weight room. It's a busy day. When you play professional, if you have a day off, that's your day. You don't have to. There's no assignments to turn in. There's no homework to do. You got to do your practice with the team, and they'll tell you too. Go home and watch a movie. That's the best thing you can do for the team right now is go relax and rest your body. Which is complete U-turn.
So I've heard a lot of horror stories of guys not getting paid. Is that true? Does that depend on the league? Does that depend on?
Yeah, it depends. Depends on the league, depends on the circumstances around. Like, it never happened to me. Okay. I always got paid, which was nice. There was a couple of hairy moments where you're sending emails and stuff, but I always got paid. There are a lot of horror stories. I've heard of guys that, they've left 60, 70 grand on the table, not able to get it. A lot of that depends on circumstance, really. If a team is going under, there's not really much you can do. If a team are hoping to get players for the next year, they'll tend to honor their commitments. But I think it's like any facet of business or sport or anything really, you have good people and you have bad people.
Right. And the problem is, I think it's a harder minefield for people, like you said, because there's so many different places you can play.
Yeah, so many different places, so many different leagues. And, there's always enough players. There's always some guy that's willing to take, a crap deal just to go play pro and not quite understanding what's behind it and what's involved with it,
So what do you think the hardest part about playing professionally other than the downtime is?
Well, the downtime isn't hard now. You get used to that. But
the downtime can be hard though, because idle minds can get in trouble. Like as coach, I would not that would worry me. I mean, that happens in the NBA. You see it all the time. They have money. The problem is they have money and time, which is even worse. If you have time and no money, you can only get in so much trouble. Yeah. But
I think the toughest part about playing pro is you have to realize that it's a certain percentage of people can do very, very well from playing, right? So you look at NBA players, but even in the NBA, you're looking at 450 of the best players in the world. There's a lot of them 10 years after their career, 5 years after their career, they don't have money left. They've gone bankrupt or whatever or they didn't sign good deals or whatever the situation is. When you start looking at leagues lower than that, which is every other league in the world, but when you start looking at France has 7 professional leagues, now you're looking at, you're not getting paid enough to buy your mom a house. You're not getting paid enough to buy your mom a car. It can almost be you play a season and you're spending your money in the summer and then you're looking for another team come August or September. So I guess the most difficult part is just for young players, especially, is to really look at what category you fall into. Do I ever regret playing professionally? Absolutely not. I mean, some of the people that I've met, just incredible. Some lifelong friends, and for me, there was no better way to spend your 20s than traveling the world and playing basketball.
I tell my
pretty
students,
cool. And then
I know I tell my students all the time that your 20s are to figure out what you want to do.
Absolutely.
You don't meet people, have experiences, and then you can go get a quote unquote a real job. In the sense that whatever it's you don't have responsibilities per se other than yourself, and I love that.
That's it, and just being realistic with yourself.
Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. A couple things you could do to help us out over at Coach Unplugged. First is you could go over and subscribe and like. We would really appreciate that. That really does help us a lot. Also, you could go over and check out teachhoops.com. You could make a commitment in your coaching. You could say, I'm going to become a better coach. I am going to sign up for 6 months. I'm going to sign up for a year. I'm going to join this community. Not only does it have resources, not only does it have other coaches, not only does it have a community, it has Coach Collins, who has been successful at every level. I am going to go make that commitment to become a better coach. So go over and check it out. At the time of this, there's a 14-day free trial. I'm not sure that will be the case in perpetuity, but for right now it is. So go over and check it out. All right, let's get back to the podcast.
I think is the most important part. For me, like a couple of teams, like I said, you're playing the season, you're enjoying your summer, you go home, like I had an apartment, you have a nice car, you have all that stuff, but then come August, September, it's starting to dry up. You're looking for your next team now, and you're looking for you know, telling your age and stuff like, oh, I want to be in the sunshine, or I want to be somewhere nice, or if that doesn't pan out for a couple of weeks, then all of a sudden, you know, you're looking at Iceland and you're looking you're looking at Norway, and you're like, oh, get me somewhere quick, you know.
I think that's a great. How do you think it made you a better coach?
I think the experience. We talked briefly about the green shoots coach, Emmanuel, for instance.
Yep.
So my last year in France, I played just outside Bordeaux in the south of France. So absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorite places. Sunshine all the time, and just the people are so laid back and relaxed. It was really a nice place to be. But the coach, Laurent Mobsous, his name was. He was a famous French point guard. So I was the oldest guy on the team. It was a really young team, big team. Point guard was 6'2", and the next smallest guy I think was 6'7" after that. Like, it was a big long team. But you're practicing twice a day. You know, you're practicing in the morning for 2.5 hours, usually individual. You're practicing in the evening for 3.5 hours as a team. So it's tough going. What I learned from Laurent was he always mixed up the warm-up somewhat. So we talked about that dribble tag game earlier, where you're dribbling around, you're trying to catch people, and you have the safety ball. He did that with us. That's where I got that game from. So you're looking at 12, 15 professional basketball players playing dribble tag on the floor, you know.
Right.
And he would just mix it up so much. But then you're running around for a half an hour and you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself. And all of a sudden you realize that, you know, you have a full sweat going, you're limber, and you're ready for practice, you know.
Right.
I learned an awful lot from him, and just being able to, I think as coaches, and when we're in the same world for so long, we kind of look through the same binoculars sometimes. And, you know, being able to take them off and think, oh, you know, my warm-up doesn't have to be a layup line, or my warm-up doesn't have to be...
I hate the layup line. Anyone that's listening, I hate the layup line.
Don't go one further.
Yeah.
5-man weave. I can't stand a 5-man weave or a 3-man weave up the floor.
Yeah.
And just being able to recognize that you can be creative with this stuff, and
right,
like, it's what's the goal of it, rather than the goal is to get people ready for practice, right? To lessen injuries, have people have your players warmed up, limber, ready to go, and limit injuries. So that's your goal. And then being able to take a step back and look at, I can play dribble tag with these guys. You know, I can play. We played a lot of the FIBA 3-on-3 as well. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
Mm-mm.
I do that all the time now. Anytime we have team practice, we'll play 3-on-3.
Yeah, it's the best game. It's the best game for development, because you can't hide.
You can't hide, and there's space. You know,
I do it during tryouts for young coaches. 3-on-3 is the best for tryouts, because literally you could put me on the Milwaukee Bucks, and you put Giannis and those other people. I can hide for the most part. Like, we'll be bad, but I can hide, because the four of them can do everything and cover up for me. When you're 3-on-3, you can't cover. There's too much space. You can't, like, you got to do everything. You got to rebound. You got to play defense.
Absolutely.
You got to be in the right direction. I mean, it's perfect, because 2-on-2 is almost too much space, because guys can create on their own, and 4-on-4 starts to get cramped together. I think you're right. 3-on-3 is the perfect game for development, for evaluation, for all that. I agree.
It definitely seems to be that sweet spot there of what you're talking about. And again, especially when you're talking about youth development and kids, like, it's natural for the stronger ones to kind of take the lead, and it's not their fault, you know. It's just what it is. Right. You play 3-on-3. There's, like you said, there's no hiding. You have no choice but to improve and get better.
And that person has to touch the ball at some point. And that person has to play some help defense. I mean, if they don't, you're gonna. I mean, I don't care. You're gonna lose.
And for anyone listening, look up the rules. It's very different from 3-on-3 that I would have played in America. Like, you don't check the ball after each score. As soon as, if I'm playing against you and you score, as soon as that ball drops, I'm getting it under the basket, and the shot clock is going again. You know, it never stops.
So where would they find that?
Oh, online.
Just FIBA 3-on-3?
Yeah, even if you YouTube FIBA 3x3.
Okay.
And they'll show you the rules, and it's an unbelievable conditioning drill. I've played for the Irish national team 3-on-3 as well. We've played in the European Championships. It's such a spectacle. They're really trying to separate it from 5-on-5 basketball. You know, they're really trying to allow it to stand on its own. It's pretty cool.
It's coming to the Olympics, right?
Yeah, it's going to be, well, you know, it was supposed to be this summer, but what they do in Europe anyways, FIBA Europe, they have these competitions all over Europe. They'll put the courts on the truck, you know, so they'll drive to Amsterdam, and you have the famous Amsterdam sign. They'll set up the court right in front of that. they'll set up the court in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and they'll have just all these incredible backdrops, which is really cool. I took a team to Latvia a couple of years ago to play in the European Championships under 18s, and we beat Russia in our second game.
Wow.
It's just incredible. But that's the way it happens. Like
the number of people that live in Ireland is like this little dot in comparison to people who live in Russia. Yeah.
Exactly. Like their faces. If we talk about running for messing up, them lads ran after that guy. They would not have expected to lose.
There's stories about when U.S. hockey in 1980 beat Russia and like this. There's talks about like what happened. Yeah, they're still really running around Siberia right now.
Yeah. And just for the coaches there, the way it works is there's a 12-second shot clock. It's way more physical than 5-on-5. It's a wrestling match. It's the first to 21 points. It's scored in 1s and 2s. It's the first to 21, it's 10 minutes or first to 21. So when we played Russia, our guys just came out, spread the floor, and we just drive kick, and they just got really hot. Right. We ended up winning 21-9. It's that kind of game that anything can happen. In Ireland,
so anything inside the 3 is 1, and everything outside the 3 is 2.
It's 2, yeah.
Okay.
Now it changes with fouls and stuff.
And what happens when I get fouled?
So you can't foul out. First of all, it's not possible to foul out.
Okay.
There's 4 players on each team. 4 players on each team. There's 1 sub. You can only sub at a dead ball. The only time you'll check it at the top is if it's a dead ball. So if there's a foul or if it goes out of bounds, and it's always checked from the X regardless. And that's the only time you can sub as well. So you get stuck in there for 3-4 minutes at a time, and it's tough.
Right. You only got 1 person. You can't sub 2 out. You only sub 1 out.
Just 1. And I remember we were playing in, I can't even remember where it was, Andorra, it's kind of in between Spain and France. And man, it's like 40, 45 degrees. And I'm just looking over at that sub like, man, I need to get out of here quick. And the buzzer went, and one of my teammates runs over and subs out, and you're just like, oh, no.
No, it's my turn.
That's another 3 or 4 minutes that I'm stuck in here now, So, yeah, for coaches, look, it's excellent, and I think as coaches, we try to control things a little too much sometimes. You look at that blank piece of paper, and you say, I have an hour and a half, or you have 2 hours, and no, there's some need to try and to block that 2 hours and have a drill to cover every 2 hours. But sometimes, man, you just want to let the kids play.
Right.
We do 3-on-3 sometimes, and we just play king of the hill with 3-on-3. So if you win, you stay at this basket. If you lose, you're down to this one, and you can't get up to the king's court unless you win. You know what I mean? So if you're on the king's court and if you're winning, you stay there and you keep playing you keep playing games. And down the other court, someone has to win to get up and play the king's court, So, and they do it themselves. You might play 5-minute games or something like that. The 10 minutes is probably too much, but the kids absolutely love it. It allows them to be a little creative too. Right. And I believe it feeds into the modern game. It's tough to be a big man in 3-on-3 because there's so many switches. There's so many ball screen switches. You got to be, like you said before, there's so much space that you can't be a big guy who just guards the block. You've got to be able to step outside.
The world of Shaquille O'Neal is gone. I'm telling you, the world of, at least for now. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because Shaq is probably the only big guy that could, he could play in any era. Could you imagine him playing now?
I know.
Incredible.
He is. I mean, Shaq was just a big body I thought of, but you're right. But he was a horrible free throw shooter.
Absolutely.
They used to call it hack-a-Shaq. I do a thing in my math class. They used to foul him on purpose.
Yeah.
His points per possession when he was like 0.9 or 0.8 every time he went to the free throw line. It was horrible. It was his only weakness. I mean, I think he's in the discussion as one of the best players of all time if he could have shot free throws, but.
And what did I say? His hands were too big, wasn't it?
They were. It was like a tank. If you ever saw him in person, it was like it was not normal. It's like, oh my God.
And then to be able to move like that is incredible.
Yeah. Well, that's what if you've seen LeBron play in person, I mean, he's a huge human being. He's like 6'8", but he runs like a 6'1" guard. Like he runs like a gazelle. I mean, there's one of those. That's what I tell my students. There's one of those out of the 8 billion people in the world. There's one LeBron. Like,
And what's funny about that is they say that the best weightlifter that ever existed probably never picked up a weight. They say the best football player that ever exists potentially probably never kicked a football.
Right.
Then you look at guys like LeBron or Giannis, and it just seems like they've found exactly what they can do.
Yep. It's
They found
about that
exactly.
intersection of the right things. So anything else you have any other parting advice, anything else you want to talk about to the coaches?
I think I've enjoyed this. I mean, it's just the one place that we struggle a little bit over here. In recent years, man, we've sent so many kids to America now. We've sent, and women's basketball in Ireland especially, like these girls are really, really good. They're really good. The young players coming through are really, really good. I think coaches in America are still a little bit hesitant when they look overseas, and there's almost an asterisk next to some kids when they look overseas and they think, oh, can they play in college? Like what path did they take over there? It's much easier for a coach. And I understand that to drive 4 hours down the road and be able to watch a kid play AAU and then make a decision, But
Well, I think this is an open gate, to be honest with you right now, because no
Absolutely.
one's driving 4 hours right now to watch. Like everything's shut down. I think the summers are going to be shut down. Look at Gonzaga on the guy's side. He's made his career on finding European kids.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny because like every European championships you go to, I've been to like 4 or 5 now, and every single one of them, you end up chatting to 6 or 7 different NBA scouts. So for me, if I know colleges always don't have that kind of budget, not even
Right.
colleges. You might look at prep schools, you might look at a high school, you mightn't have the budget to do that. But the fact that the NBA are investing so much and looking at these kids at under 15 and 16, surely that warrants colleges and prep schools to open up their eyes a little bit and be more accepting of players coming from Ireland or coming from Europe.
Right. I think the internet's made that easier too, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
You can just get on and watch it.
Yeah.
Who was I talking to this weekend? Patrick O'Neill. You know Patrick O'Neill?
Ireland?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Pat. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him, and he was explaining to me how the U.S. kids come over to play on the net. It was very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I work in Griffith College in Dublin now.
Okay.
And we have 6 scholarships for men and 6 scholarships for women. So our target are young men or young women that have just finished college in America. And
Right.
they can come over and you get a free master's degree.
Right. That's a great gig. I know.
Yeah.
I know. He was saying they were looking at some Ivy League kids and some other stuff. And
it has to be someone. Yeah, so it has to be someone that's so it's structured different, and you have to accept. That's another thing I should have said earlier. When players are leaving America, you just have to accept when you get on the plane that everything is not going to be like it is. You'll make the amount of players that I've played with that will only eat McDonald's. Like I played in Malaysia, and there's incredible food everywhere, and just
Right.
stuff that you've never
Right.
eaten before. And then my teammate will only eat McDonald's.
Right.
If you're gonna go do it, do it. Like immerse yourself, enjoy it. You don't have to eat crazy stuff, but at least look at the locals, and it's respectful, and they like you to do that.
Right.
If you make any bit of an effort, like I lived in France with my wife, very little French because they coach in English. So the
Right.
coaches coach in English. All the players would have grown up playing with American players, so they all know English.
Right.
If you make a little effort, they'll love you for it.
Right.
And it's such a big thing to do that. And you end up gaining more out of it, I believe, because then they open up to you as well.
Well, it's that growth experience too. It's that growth
Exactly.
mindset. Like if you,
Exactly.
but it's really hard. I mean, yeah, there's all these levels too. Some kids are still chasing the guy's side, or even the girl's side, the WNBA. Some are still chasing the dream. Some are just looking for, schooling. So you have 6 scholarships. You can only play 2 kids. So is those 6 scholarships for all the age levels?
Yeah. So the way it worked this past year, for instance, there's only like 6 or 7 games in college, right?
Okay.
The college games, it's completely flipped from America. So club basketball is the biggest over here.
Right.
So if a young lady or a young man comes over here and takes a scholarship to do a master's, they're going to play with the college 6 or 7 games.
Right.
Plus they'll play with the club.
Right.
So the way it worked this year is we had 3 players on scholarship played with the Super League, and then we had 2 players played on the Division 1 team, which is like a local team.
Okay.
So it's a really good opportunity. And, you know, you talk about chasing the dream. You should chase the dream for as long as you can. You know, why
Right.
not? That's what life is about, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to squeeze every little thing you can out of basketball. So it was there long before you were there. It's going to be there long after you're there. And if you can walk away with a college degree and a master's degree, like in our situation, you get a master's degree and you get to live in Dublin for a year.
So you can do the masters in 1 year?
You do the masters in 1 year, yeah. It's a win-win. You put that piece of paper in your pocket. Once you have that, nobody can take that away from you.
Right.
You get stats in a European country. So then at the end of your year, you're looking, well, I have a master's degree. Do I want to go work in the business world using that master's degree?
Right.
Do I want to use the stats that I just have to go and play another year or two in Europe? You know, it's a win-win.
Do different clubs have different schools which focus on different things? Like if I want to go into agriculture, or I want to go into business, are there different clubs that kind of recruit the different master's degrees?
Yeah, so like ours in Griffith College is business, international business. We're an international college, so the international business degree is really valuable. The journalism degree is really valuable. There's another organization in Ireland now called Sports Changes Life. That's what Pat might have been talking about.
He was talking about that.
Yeah, so they have links with colleges and universities all over Ireland.
Okay.
So essentially with them, you tell them what you want to do, and then they'll have, you know, 11 colleges on their books, and they'll say, right, you know, the University of Limerick is perfect for what you're looking to do. So yeah, there's different ways of doing that, but it's not a bad deal, man. You get to come live in Ireland for a year, you get to be a college student for one more year, and you get to leave with that paper in your pocket.
That's a win-win.
Win-win. Easy.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate you coming out. I told Patrick, I said it's on my bucket list when Ireland's on my bucket list. So I'm going to try.
Hey, you come with Tim. Tim is over here all the time, man.
Tim like lives in Ireland. I told him last time, I said, are you Irish? I mean, you should just become a citizen. It's like, I know.
He's one of us now. We claim Tim now. So
I know. He's an awesome guy. He's an awesome guy.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. See ya.
Bye now.
Bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, go over and leave a 5-star review. If you didn't, turn your iPhone or whatever you're listening to the podcast off. But no, go over and check out teachhoops.com too. If you want to give back a little bit, if you want to join our community, if you want to become a better coach, if you want to find the nuances of this great game, if you want to delve into this brain of 30 plus years of coaching, go over and check it out, and we'll help you through this great journey. Have a great day.